Red dust swirled around Alex Reed's boots as he walked through the narrow canyon. The twin suns of planet Kilos beat down hard on his helmet, making sweat run down his back inside his marine uniform. He had been walking for 2 hours now, checking the border area between human and Drakmori space. It was boring work, but someone had to do it. The rocky walls around him were filled with purple crystals that caught the sunlight and threw it back in rainbow colors. Alex had seen these crystals many times before, but they still looked pretty cool. His scanner beeped quietly every few seconds, showing that everything was normal. No enemy ships, no strange readings, just rocks and more rocks. Then something caught his eye. Smoke was rising from behind a large boulder up ahead. Alex stopped walking and pulled out his rifle. Smoke usually meant trouble out here in the middle of nowhere. He moved forward slowly, keeping low and staying behind cover. The smoke was black and thick, definitely coming from something that was burning. When he got around the boulder, Alex saw what was making the smoke. A ship had crashed into the canyon wall. But this was not a human ship. The metal was dark purple with strange curved lines all over it. Alex knew right away what it was: a Drakmori transport ship. The ship was not very big, maybe the size of a small house. Most of it was buried in the rocks from where it had hit the wall. Pieces of purple metal were scattered everywhere. Some parts were still burning, which was making all the smoke. Alex knew he should call this into his base. Finding enemy ships was important, but something made him move closer to look at the crash. Maybe it was just being curious, or maybe it was something else. As he got near the broken ship, he heard a sound. It was very quiet and high-pitched, almost like a bird chirping. But there were no birds on this planet. Alex followed the sound and found where it was coming from. Under a big piece of the ship's wing, something small was moving. Alex pushed some rocks away and saw what it was. His eyes went wide with surprise. It was a dragon. A real dragon, but tiny, no bigger than a house cat. Its scales were blue and green, and they shimmered like the crystals in the canyon walls. The little dragon was hurt. One of its wings looked broken and there was purple blood on its side. The dragon looked up at Alex with big golden eyes. It made that chirping sound again, but weaker this time. Alex could tell it was scared and in pain. The poor thing was trapped under the heavy metal wing and could not get out. Alex had never seen a real dragon before. Everyone knew that the Drakmori were dragons, but they were supposed to be huge and scary. This one was just a baby, and it looked so helpless lying there. He should walk away. That was what his training said to do. The Drakmori were enemies of humanity. They had been fighting for years over who could control different planets and trade routes. Alex's job was to fight, them not help them. But looking down at the injured baby dragon, Alex could not make himself walk away. It was just a kid, hurt and alone. What kind of person would leave a hurt child to die even if it was not human? Alex put his rifle down and knelt beside the trapped dragon. "Hey there, little guy," he said softly. "I'm going to help you, okay?" The dragon stopped moving and looked at him. Those big golden eyes seemed to be studying Alex's face. The dragon made another chirping sound, but this one sounded different. Less scared, maybe. The metal wing was heavy, but Alex was strong. He grabbed the edge and lifted it up. The dragon scrambled out from under it and fell down on the rocky ground. Its hurt wing was folded against its body, and it was breathing hard. Alex opened his field medical kit. He had used it on humans before, but he hoped it would work on dragons too. First, he cleaned the cuts on the dragon's side with antiseptic. The dragon hissed a little but did not try to bite him or run away. Next, Alex looked at the broken wing. It was not cut, but it was bent in a way that looked painful. Very carefully, he used some medical tape to hold the wing against the dragon's body so it could heal. The dragon watched everything Alex did with those bright golden eyes. When Alex was done, he sat back and looked at the little dragon. It was still hurt, but not as bad as before. The bleeding had stopped, and its breathing was getting better. "There, you go," Alex said. "That should help a little." The dragon tried to stand up. Its legs were shaky, but it managed to stay up. Then it did something that surprised Alex even more. It walked over to him and rubbed its head against his hand, just like a cat would do. Alex laughed. "Well, you're a friendly little guy, aren't you?" The dragon made a happy chirping sound and sat down next to Alex. It seemed to understand that Alex had helped it. There was no fear in its eyes anymore, just trust. Alex looked around at the crashed ship and all the metal pieces. If other dragons came looking for this ship, they would find it eventually. And if they found Alex here with this baby dragon, there would be big trouble. But he could not just leave the little dragon here. It was still hurt and would not be able to take care of itself. There were wild animals on this planet that would see an injured baby dragon as an easy meal. Alex made up his mind. He picked up the dragon and it curled up in his arms without fighting. It was warm and felt like it was made of smooth leather. The dragon closed its eyes and made a soft rumbling sound, almost like it was purring. "All right, little guy," Alex said. "I guess you're coming with me." He looked around one more time to make sure no one had seen him, then started walking back toward the human base. The dragon stayed quiet in his arms, sometimes opening its golden eyes to look up at Alex's face. Alex knew this was probably the dumbest thing he had ever done. Taking an enemy dragon back to a human military base could get him in huge trouble. He might even be arrested for treason. But looking down at the small creature in his arms, Alex knew he had made the right choice. Sometimes doing the right thing meant breaking the rules, and sometimes the right thing was as simple as helping someone who needed help, even if they were supposed to be your enemy. The walk back to base was going to be long, and Alex had a lot of thinking to do about what he was going to do with his new little friend. Alex's room on the human base was small and simple. One bed, one desk, one chair, and a locker for his clothes. He had never thought it was too small before, but now with a baby dragon hiding under his bed, it felt very tiny indeed. 3 days had passed since Alex found the little dragon in the canyon. He had managed to sneak it back to base without anyone seeing. Getting past the guards had been tricky, but Alex knew all the quiet paths around the base from his years of service there. The dragon was getting better. Alex had started calling him Pip because of all the little chirping sounds he made. The name seemed to fit. Pip's wing was healing well, and the cuts on his side were almost gone. Dragons must heal faster than humans, Alex thought. But keeping Pip's secret was getting harder every day. "Reed, you in there?" Someone called from outside Alex's door. Alex quickly looked under his bed. Pip was there, curled up on an old blanket. The little dragon looked back at him with those big golden eyes but stayed quiet like Alex had taught him. "Yeah, I'm here," Alex called back. "Just getting ready for patrol." "Well, hurry up, Lieutenant. Ben is looking for you." Alex waited until the footsteps went away, then knelt down beside his bed. "Good boy, Pip," he whispered. "Stay quiet until I come back, okay?" Pip made a very soft chirping sound and nodded his little head. Alex was still amazed by how smart the dragon was. In just 3 days, Pip had learned to understand many human words and gestures. He knew when to be quiet, when to hide, and even how to use the small water bowl Alex had given him. But Pip also did some very silly things that made Alex laugh. Yesterday, Alex had caught Pip trying to eat his boots. The little dragon had been chewing on the leather laces like they were food. When Alex took the boots away, Pip had looked very confused and disappointed. Pip was also scared of his own reflection. Alex had a small mirror on his desk, and whenever Pip saw himself in it, he would puff up his scales and make angry hissing sounds at the other dragon in the mirror. Alex had to cover the mirror with a towel to stop Pip from getting upset. The funniest thing was when Pip tried to breathe fire. All baby dragons were supposed to be able to make flames, but when Pip tried, only little puffs of smoke came out, and every time he made smoke, he would sneeze right afterward. The sneezes were tiny and cute, and they made Alex smile every time. Alex left his room and went to find Lieutenant Ben. The base was busy as always, with Marines walking around doing their jobs. Alex nodded to the people he knew and tried to act normal. He could not let anyone know about his secret. Lieutenant Ben was in the command center, looking at reports on a big screen. He was a good officer and had always been fair to Alex, but Alex wondered what Ben would do if he found out about Pip. "Reed, there you are," Ben said. "I need you to take a patrol to Sector 7 today. There have been some strange readings on our sensors." Strange how? Alex asked. Not sure yet. Could be nothing, could be Drakmori scouts. I want you to check it out and report back. Alex nodded. Yes, sir. I'll head out right away. Good man. And Reed? Yes, sir. You've been acting a little strange lately. Everything okay? Alex tried not to look nervous. Fine, sir. Just tired from all the patrols. Ben looked at him for a moment, then nodded. Well, get some rest when you can. We need you sharp out there. Alex left the command center and went back to his room. Pip was exactly where he had left him, still lying on the blanket under the bed. When he saw Alex, the little dragon crawled out and rubbed against his leg like a happy cat. I have to go to work again, Alex told him, but I'll be back in a few hours. Pip made a sad chirping sound. He had learned that when Alex put on his gear and picked up his rifle, it meant Alex was going away for a while. Alex knelt down and gently petted Pip's head. The dragon's scales were warm and smooth under his fingers. I know, buddy. I don't like leaving you alone either. But you have to stay hidden, okay? Pip looked up at him with those big golden eyes and made a soft sound that almost seemed like he was trying to say okay in human language. Alex's eyes went wide. Had Pip just tried to talk? Did you just... Alex started to ask, but then someone knocked on his door. Reed, you ready for patrol? Alex looked at Pip one more time. The little dragon was watching him with a very intelligent look on his face. There was definitely more going on in that small head than most people would think. Coming, Alex called. He gave Pip one last gentle pat and left for his patrol. The patrol was long and boring, just like most of them. Alex walked through the desert areas around the base, checking his scanner and looking for anything unusual. But his mind kept going, back to Pip. Had the little dragon really tried to talk, and if so, what did that mean? When Alex got back to base that evening, he found something that made him stop and stare. Pip was not under the bed where Alex had left him. Instead, the little dragon was sitting on Alex's desk, next to a stack of papers. The papers had been moved around, and some of them had small holes in them where Pip had been playing with them. But that was not the amazing part. The amazing part was what Pip had done with Alex's pens. Alex kept his pens in a small cup on his desk. Pip had taken all the pens out and arranged them in neat rows on the desk surface. Blue pens in one row, black pens in another row, and red pens in a third row. They were perfectly lined up and sorted by color. Pip, Alex said slowly. Did you do this? The little dragon looked up at him and made a happy chirping sound. Then he pointed at the pens with one small claw and made the sound again. Alex sat down heavily on his bed. This was not normal baby animal behavior. This showed real intelligence, real thinking ability. Pip had not just played with the pens, he had organized them on purpose. Over the next hour, Alex watched Pip do more amazing things. The dragon could stack blocks in order from biggest to smallest. He could point to different colors when Alex named them. And when Alex held up different numbers of fingers, Pip could make the same number of chirping sounds. But Pip also kept doing silly things. He tried to catch his own tail and got dizzy spinning in circles. He got scared when Alex's alarm clock rang and hid under the blanket until the sound stopped. And he kept trying to eat things that were not food, like pencils and buttons. Late that night, as Alex was getting ready for bed, something wonderful happened. Alex was sitting on the floor, and Pip was curled up in his lap. The little dragon looked up at Alex with those golden eyes and opened his mouth. Alex, Pip said in a tiny, chirpy voice. Alex's mouth fell open. You said my name. Pip's scales seemed to glow a little brighter, and he made happy chirping sounds. Then he said it again, clearer this time. Alex, Alex laughed and gently picked up the little dragon. That's right, buddy, I'm Alex and you're Pip. Pip tilted his head to one side, thinking. Then he pointed at himself with one small claw and said, Pip. From that moment on, everything changed. Pip began learning human words very quickly. By the end of the week, he could say simple things like hello, food, water, and friend. He still made lots of mistakes and still did silly baby dragon things, but there was no doubt that he was very smart. Alex realized he was not just taking care of an injured animal anymore. He was taking care of someone who was learning and growing and becoming his friend. But Alex also knew that this made his situation much more complicated. A smart dragon who could talk was very different from a simple pet. If the other humans found out about Pip, or if the Drakmori came looking for him, there could be serious trouble. Still, as Alex watched Pip practice saying new words and sorting his pens into different patterns, he could not help but smile. Whatever happened next, he was glad he had found this amazing little creature. Pip was special, and Alex was going to protect him no matter what. Far away from the human base in the dark space between planets, a huge dragon ship moved through the stars. The ship was black as night, with sharp points and glowing purple lights. Inside the ship, Captain Voss paced back and forth across the command deck, his heavy footsteps making loud sounds on the metal floor. Captain Voss was not like little Pip. Voss was a full-grown Drakmori dragon, standing 12 feet tall even when he was not trying to look scary. His scales were dark red, almost black, and his eyes glowed like hot coals. When he was angry, which was most of the time, small flames would leak out from between his teeth. Right now, Captain Voss was very angry indeed. "Still nothing?" he growled at the dragon working at the sensor station. "No, sir," the sensor operator replied, trying not to look directly at Captain Voss. "We have searched 17 star systems and found no trace of the transport ship." Captain Voss made a sound like an angry volcano. "Keep searching. That ship carried precious cargo. We cannot return home without it." The other dragons on the command deck all knew what the precious cargo was. It was not gold or weapons or anything like that. It was something much more valuable. To the Drakmori, it was Elder Rith's child. Elder Rith was one of the most powerful dragons in the entire Drakmori Empire. She was old, wise, and very dangerous when she was upset. Her child, a small dragon named Pip, had been traveling to a safe world when his transport ship went missing. Now Captain Voss had the terrible job of finding the missing child before something bad happened to him. If he failed, Elder Rith would probably use her fire breath to turn him into a pile of ash. "Sir," called out another dragon from across the room. "We're getting close to the border with human space." Captain Voss stopped pacing. "Human space?" "Yes, sir." The transport ship's last known position was near the border zone. Captain Voss thought about this. The humans were weak creatures who lived on only a few worlds. They had no scales, no fire, breath, and no wings. The dragons had been fighting small wars with them for years, but the humans were not considered a serious threat. But what if the humans had found the missing transport ship? "Change course," Captain Voss ordered. "Take us into human territory." "Sir, that might start a war," one of his officers said carefully. Captain Voss turned and looked at the officer with glowing eyes. "If the humans have Elder Rith's child there, will be war anyway. At least this way we might get him back alive." The dragon ship turned and headed toward human space. Captain Voss sent out a message to all Drakmori ships in the area, telling them to start searching human planets and space stations. He did not care if the humans got upset about it. Finding Pip was the only thing that mattered. Meanwhile, back on the human base, Alex was having his own problems. It was getting much harder to keep Pip secret. The little dragon was growing bigger every day. He was still small compared to adult dragons, but he was not tiny anymore. He was now about the size of a medium dog, and he was getting harder to hide. Pip was also getting more active. He liked to explore Alex's room when Alex was away, and sometimes he would accidentally break things. Yesterday, Alex had come back to find that Pip had knocked over his lamp while trying to look out the window. But the biggest problem was that Pip was getting lonely. He was a smart social creature, and spending all day alone in Alex's room was making him sad. Sometimes Alex would come back to find Pip sitting by the door, making quiet crying sounds. Alex felt terrible about it, but he did not know what else to do. If anyone found out about Pip, both of them would be in big trouble. One evening, Alex was sitting on his bed with Pip curled up next to him. The little dragon had learned many more words and could now have simple conversations. Alex sad, Pip said, looking up at him with concerned golden eyes. I'm not sad, buddy. Alex lied. Alex sad, Pip insisted. Pip no, Pip sad too. Alex sighed. There was no fooling Pip anymore. The little dragon was too smart. You're right, Alex admitted. I am sad, and I'm worried. There are other humans here who might not understand about you. They might try to hurt you. Pip thought about this for a moment. Pip good dragon, he said finally. Pip friend to Alex. Other humans be friend too? I hope so, Alex said. But I don't know. That night, Alex's worries got much worse. He was woken up by loud alarms going off. Throughout the base, red lights were flashing in his room, which meant there was an emergency. Alex quickly got dressed and checked on Pip. The little dragon was awake and looked scared by all the noise. Stay here, Alex told him. Hide under the bed and don't come out until I get back. Alex ran to the command center, where he found Lieutenant Ben and many other officers looking at the big screens with worried faces. What's happening? Alex asked. Drac Mori ships, Ben said grimly. A whole fleet of them. They've crossed into our space and they're searching every planet in this sector. Alex's heart started beating very fast. Searching for what? We don't know, but they're not being polite about it. They've already scanned 3 of our colonies without permission. Our diplomatic team is trying to contact them, but they're not responding to our messages. Alex stared at the screen, which showed several large dragon ships moving through space. He had a terrible feeling that he knew what they were looking for. Sir, called out a communications officer. We're getting a message from the Drac Mori fleet commander. Put it on the main screen, Ben ordered. The screen changed to show a large, scary-looking dragon in military uniform. When he spoke, his voice was deep and threatening. Humans, the dragon said. I am Captain Voss of the Drac Mori Imperial Navy. We are searching for stolen property that belongs to us. You will allow our ships to search your bases and planets, or we will take them by force. Lieutenant Ben stepped forward. This is Lieutenant Ben of the Earth Alliance Defense Force. We have not stolen anything from your people. What exactly are you looking for? Captain Voss's eyes glowed brighter. Do not lie to me, human. Our sensors detected one of our transport ships in this area before it disappeared. If you are hiding our property, we will find it. We know nothing about any transport ship, Ben said firmly. Then you will not mind if we search your base, Captain Voss replied. Alex felt like ice water was running through his veins. If the dragons searched the base, they would find Pip for sure. And when they found him, they would know that Alex had been hiding him. But what would happen to Pip? Would the dragons be angry at him for staying with a human? Would they punish him for learning human words and becoming friends with Alex? Alex realized that he cared more about what happened to Pip than what happened to himself. The little dragon had become like family to him. We cannot allow you to search our military base, Ben was saying on the screen. That would violate several treaties. Then you are hiding something, Captain Voss snarled. We will search anyway. The screen went dark. A moment later, alarms started ringing again, and the lights changed from red to yellow. All personnel to battle stations, came an announcement over the base's speakers. This is not a drill. Prepare for possible enemy boarding. Alex felt sick to his stomach. The dragons were coming to search the base, and there was nothing he could do to stop them. When they found Pip, everything would be over. He ran back to his room as fast as he could. Pip was still hiding under the bed, but he crawled out when he saw Alex. Alex scared, Pip said, sensing Alex's emotions. What happening? Alex knelt down and took Pip's small face in his hands. Pip, I need to tell you something important. Other dragons are coming here. They're looking for you. Pip's golden eyes went wide. Other dragons, Pip family? Maybe, Alex said. I think they want to take you home. Pip was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something that broke Alex's heart. Pip no want go. Pip want stay with Alex. Alex hugged the little dragon tightly. I want you to stay too, buddy, but I don't think we get to choose. Outside, Alex could hear the sound of ships landing near the base. The dragons had arrived, and soon they would start searching. Every room, Alex looked at Pip and made a decision. Whatever happened next, he was not going to let them take Pip away without a fight. The little dragon had become too important to him. Pip, Alex said, no matter what happens, I want you to know that you're the best friend I've ever had. Pip smiled, showing his small, sharp teeth. Alex's best friend too, he said. Pip love Alex. Heavy footsteps could be heard in the hallway outside Alex's room. The search had begun. The heavy footsteps stopped right outside Alex's door. Alex could hear voices speaking in the dragon language, deep, rumbling sounds that he could not understand. His heart was beating so fast he thought it might jump right out of his chest. Pip looked up at Alex with his big golden eyes. The little dragon was scared too, but he was trying to be brave. He had learned to trust Alex completely over the past weeks, and even now he was not trying to run away or hide. Alex, Pip whispered in his small voice. Pip, stay with you. Before Alex could answer, there was a loud bang on his door. Open this door immediately, came a deep voice from outside. The voice was speaking human language, but with a strong dragon accent. Alex took a deep breath. There was no point in trying to hide anymore. The dragons would break down his door if they had to, and that would just make things worse. I'm coming, Alex called out. He looked down at Pip one more time. Stay behind me, okay? Pip nodded and moved to stand behind Alex's legs. Alex opened the door and found himself face to face with 3 large dragons in military uniforms. They were all much bigger than Pip, with dark scales and glowing eyes. Behind them stood Lieutenant Ben and 2 human guards, all looking very nervous. The lead dragon was Captain Voss himself. Up close, he was even more frightening than he had looked on the screen. He was so tall that his head almost touched the ceiling, and small flames were leaking from his nostrils. Human, Captain Voss said in his deep voice. We are searching for stolen Drakamori property. Step aside. There's nothing stolen in my room, Alex said, trying to keep his voice steady. Captain Voss pushed past Alex and began looking around the small room. The other 2 dragons followed him in, while Lieutenant Ben stayed in the doorway with the guards. Read, Ben said quietly. What's going on here? Alex did not answer. He was watching Captain Voss search through his things. The big dragon looked under the bed, in the closet, and even inside Alex's locker, but he had not seen Pip yet because the little dragon was still hiding behind Alex's legs. Then Captain Voss turned around, and his glowing eyes fell on Pip. The room became completely silent. Captain Voss stared at the small dragon, and Pip stared back at him. Nobody moved or made a sound for what felt like a very long time. Finally, Captain Voss spoke, but now he was using the dragon language. His voice was different too, not angry anymore, but surprised and maybe even relieved. Pip answered him in the same language. His small voice sounded very different from the deep dragon voices, more like musical chirping. But it was clearly the same language. Lieutenant Ben looked confused. Reed, what is that thing? That thing, Captain Voss said, switching back to human language, is the missing child of Elder Rith, the most important young dragon in our entire empire. Ben's eyes went wide. You've been hiding a dragon in your room? Alex knew he was in huge trouble now, but he did not care. His name is Pip, he said. I found him hurt in a crashed ship. I couldn't just leave him to die. Captain Voss looked at Alex with new interest. You saved his life? I helped him when he was injured. That's all. Captain Voss turned back to Pip and said something else in the dragon language. Pip replied, but his answer was much longer this time. He kept pointing at Alex and making different sounds, some that sounded happy, some that sounded sad, and some that sounded determined. As Pip talked, Captain Voss's expression began to change. The angry look on his face slowly turned into surprise, then confusion, then something that might have been respect. When Pip finished talking, Captain Voss stood up straight and looked at Alex again. The young one says, you not only saved his life, but cared for him like family. He says you taught him your language and treated him with kindness. That's true, Alex said. He also says he does not wish to leave you. Lieutenant Ben stepped forward. Now wait just a minute. Reed, You can't keep an enemy dragon as a pet. He's not a pet, Alex said firmly. He's my friend. At that moment, something amazing happened. The door to Alex's room was pushed open wider, and another dragon entered. But this dragon was different from the others. She was even larger than Captain Voss, with brilliant silver scales that seemed to glow with their own light. Her eyes were the same golden color as Pip's, but much larger and more ancient. Everyone in the room immediately knew who this was, even though no one had ever seen her before. This was Elder Rith, Pip's parent. Captain Voss and his two soldiers immediately bowed their heads respectfully. Lieutenant Ben and the human guards took several steps backward. Even Alex felt the urge to bow, though he was not sure why. Elder Rith was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. When she moved, it was like watching liquid mercury flow across the floor. When she looked at someone, it felt like she could see right into their soul. She walked slowly into the room, and everyone moved out of her way. Her eyes were fixed on Pip, and there was so much love and relief in her gaze that Alex felt tears starting in his own eyes. Pip looked up at his parent and made a happy chirping sound. "Mama," he said in his small voice. Elder Rith knelt down and gently touched Pip with one large claw. She examined his healing wing and the faded scars on his side where Alex had treated his injuries. Then she said something to Pip in the dragon language. Pip answered her, and again his answer was very long. He kept pointing at Alex and using both dragon words and human words mixed together. At one point he said, "Alex good," and "Alex friend," and "Pip love Alex." Elder Rith listened to everything Pip said without interrupting. Her golden eyes moved back and forth between Pip and Alex could feel her studying him carefully. When Pip finished talking, Elder Rith stood up and faced Alex directly. Alex had never been so scared in his entire life. This dragon could probably destroy the entire base with her fire breath if she wanted to, but when Elder Rith spoke, her voice was not angry. It was calm and thoughtful. "Human," she said, "my child tells me that you risked your own safety to save his life." "Anyone would have done the same thing," Alex said, though his voice was shaking. "No," Elder Rith said firmly, "not anyone. You knew he was your enemy, yet you chose compassion over duty. You cared for him when he was helpless, and you protected him even when it put you in danger." Alex did not know what to say to that. Elder Rith continued, "My child also tells me something very interesting. He says that you have taught him about friendship between different species. He believes that dragons and humans do not have to be enemies." Captain Voss made a surprised sound. "Elder Rith. Surely the young one is too inexperienced to understand such things." Elder Rith looked at Captain Voss with eyes that could have melted steel. "Are you suggesting that my child is foolish, Captain?" Captain Voss immediately looked down at the floor. "No, Elder Rith, of course not." Elder Rith turned back to Alex. "My child has chosen you as his friend. This is not a decision he made lightly. Dragons do not give their friendship easily, especially to other species." Pip walked over to Alex and leaned against his leg. "Alex family," he said clearly. "Pip want Alex family." Elder Rith watched this display with great interest. "I see that the feeling is mutual." She was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Everyone else in the room waited to see what she would decide. Alex knew that whatever Elder Rith chose to do, no one would be able to argue with her. Finally, Elder Rith made her decision. "Human," she said to Alex, "you have done something that I thought was impossible. You have earned the complete trust and loyalty of a dragon. Not only that, but you have shown my child that there can be friendship between our species." She paused and looked around the room at all the humans and dragons. "This changes everything." 6 months later, Alex stood in the main conference room of the new peace station, watching delegates from 12 different worlds take their seats around a massive circular table. Half of the delegates were human, and half were dragons. A year ago, such a meeting would have been impossible. Now it was just another day at work for Alex and his partner. "Pip, stop trying to eat the flowers," Alex said without turning around. Behind him, Pip looked up from the decorative plant he had been investigating. He was much bigger now, about the size of a pony, but he still had some of his silly baby dragon habits. His scales had grown brighter too, shifting from blue-green to a brilliant turquoise that sparkled in the station's lights. Not eating, Pip protested in his much-improved human speech. Just smelling. Flowers smell good. Alex turned around and smiled at his friend. I know, buddy, but the diplomats get nervous when you put things in your mouth. Pip made a grumbling sound but moved away from the plant. He had learned many things in the past 6 months, but he still did not understand why humans worried so much about such small things. The conference room doors opened, and Elder Rith entered with several other high-ranking dragons. She had grown, even more magnificent in the months since that first meeting at the human base. Her silver scales now had threads of gold running through them, and her presence filled any room she entered. Good morning, Alex, she said in her deep musical voice. Is everything ready for today's meeting? Yes, Elder Rith. The trade agreements are prepared for final signing. Elder Rith nodded approvingly. Excellent. These agreements will benefit both our peoples greatly. It was still amazing to Alex how much had changed since that day in his small room on the base. Elder Rith's decision had shocked everyone, dragons and humans alike. Instead of taking Pip home and forgetting about the humans, Elder Rith had proposed something unthinkable. She wanted to create a permanent alliance between the Drakmori Empire and the Earth Alliance, with Alex and Pip serving as the first interspecies ambassador team. Not everyone had been happy about this idea. Many dragons thought humans were too weak and primitive to be proper allies. Many humans thought dragons were too dangerous and alien to be trusted. But Elder Rith had been determined. My child has shown me something important, she had told both governments. He has shown me that friendship is possible between our species. If a small dragon and a young human can become family, then our entire civilizations can learn to work together. The negotiations had been long and difficult. There had been many meetings, many arguments, and many times when it seemed like the whole idea would fail. But through it all, Pip had been the key to making it work. Whenever the human and dragon diplomats started arguing, they would look at Pip playing happily with Alex or curled up asleep in Alex's lap, and they would remember why they were trying to make peace. Pip was living proof that the two species could get along. He spoke both languages fluently now, though he still mixed them up sometimes when he was excited. He understood both cultures and could explain one to the other when there was confusion. Most importantly, Pip's joy and innocence reminded everyone that peace was possible. It was hard to talk about war when there was a young dragon in the room, asking if he could have a snack. The peace negotiations had led to other discoveries too. It turned out that dragons and humans were very good at different things, and they could help each other a lot. Dragons were excellent at mining and metalworking because of their fire breath and strength. Humans were good at growing food and making medicine because of their smaller size and careful attention to detail. Dragons lived for hundreds of years and had incredible memories, so they were great at keeping historical records. Humans were creative and inventive, always coming up with new solutions to old problems. When they worked together, both species could accomplish things that neither could do alone. Alex, Pip said, interrupting his thoughts. The Earth delegate is here. Alex looked toward the door and saw Ambassador Lisa walking in with her human staff. Lisa had been one of the first humans to volunteer for the interspecies program. She was smart, patient, and most importantly, she genuinely liked dragons. Good morning, Ambassador, Alex said. How are the preparations going on Earth? Very well, Lisa replied. The first group of human students will arrive next week to begin studying dragon history and culture. And I hear we're sending 50 tons of medical supplies to help with the plague outbreak on Draconis 7. Elder Rith nodded approvingly. And our engineers have finished designing the new mining equipment for your Mars colonies. It should increase your efficiency by 40%. This was how the Alliance worked, humans and dragons sharing knowledge, resources, and help whenever it was needed. It was not always easy. There were still misunderstandings and disagreements, but it was working. The meeting that day was about establishing new trade routes between human and dragon worlds. It was important work that would help both civilizations grow and prosper. But Alex found his attention drifting to Pip, who was now trying to organize the water glasses on the conference table by size. Some things never changed. Pip, Alex called softly. Leave the glasses alone, the delegates need those. Just making them neat, Pip said, but he stopped rearranging them. Ambassador Lisa laughed. He's still got his organizing obsession, I see. Oh, yes, Alex said. Yesterday I found him sorting all my books by color instead of by subject. I couldn't find anything for hours. Elder Rith made a sound that was the dragon equivalent of laughter. Young dragons often go through a phase where they feel the need to organize everything they see. Pip will grow out of it eventually. I hope not completely, Alex said, watching Pip try to stack some papers into a perfect pyramid. It's part of what makes him special. As the meeting began and the delegates started discussing shipping schedules and cargo manifests, Alex thought about how different his life had become. A year ago, he had been just another Marine on patrol duty. Now he was an ambassador, traveling between worlds and helping to build bridges between two very different civilizations. He had his own apartment on Peace Station, with extra-large furniture to accommodate Pip's growing size. He had learned to speak basic dragon language, though Pip was still much better at languages than he was. He had met presidents and emperors, generals and scientists, merchants and artists from dozens of different worlds, but the best part of his new life was still his friendship with Pip. The little dragon, though he was not so little anymore, was still the same curious, loyal, slightly silly creature Alex had found in that crashed ship. Pip still tried to eat things that were not food. He still got confused by complex human customs. He still sneezed when he tried to breathe really big flames. But Pip had also grown wise in ways that amazed Alex every day. He could see solutions to problems that the smartest adults missed. He could make friends with anyone, no matter what species they were. And he had an incredible ability to make people feel happy and hopeful, even in difficult times. The shipping agreement is ready for signing, announced the Dragon Trade Minister. Alex watched as representatives from both species signed the document that would create new prosperity for millions of people and dragons. It was just one of dozens of similar agreements that had been signed over the past months. After the meeting ended and the delegates filed out, Alex and Pip were left alone in the conference room with Elder Rith. Another successful negotiation, Elder Rith said with satisfaction. These trade routes will benefit both our peoples for generations to come. It's amazing how much we've accomplished in such a short time, Alex said. Not so amazing, Elder Rith replied. When people of goodwill work together, great things become possible. She looked at Pip, who was now making small towers out of the leftover documents. My child, you should be proud of what you have helped to create. Pip looked up from his paper towers. Pip just wanted to be friends with Alex. All this other stuff just happened. Elder Rith smiled, showing her large, sharp teeth in what Alex had learned was an expression of great affection. Sometimes the most important things happen when we are simply trying to be kind to one another. Later that evening, Alex and Pip were in their apartment relaxing after the long day. Pip was curled up on his specially made dragon bed, which was big enough for Alex to sit on too. Alex, Pip said drowsily, are you happy we're friends? Alex reached over and gently petted Pip's head, just like he had done when Pip was small enough to fit in his arms. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, buddy. Good, Pip said. Pip happy too. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, looking out the window at the stars. Ships from dozens of different worlds were coming and going from Peace Station, carrying goods and messages and people between the human and dragon territories. Alex, Pip said suddenly, yeah? Do you think other species might want to be friends too? Like the crystal people from Centauri 9? Or the plant creatures from the forest worlds? Alex thought about this. I don't know. Maybe. Would you like to meet them? Yes, Pip said, his scales brightening with excitement. Pip wants to meet everyone, and maybe they can be friends too. Alex laughed. You know what? I think you might be right. If a dumb baby dragon and a soldier can become best friends and help two civilizations make peace, then anything is possible. Pip not dumb, Pip protested, but he was laughing too. No, Alex agreed. You're not dumb at all. You're the smartest dragon I know. Outside their window, the stars sparkled with infinite possibilities. The universe was a big place, full of different species and cultures and ways of thinking. But Alex was not worried about the future anymore. He had learned that the most important things in life were simple things: friendship, kindness, and the willingness to help others when they needed it. And he had learned that sometimes the smallest actions could change everything. Saving one small dragon from a crashed ship had led to peace between entire civilizations. Who knew what other amazing things might be possible? As Pip drifted off, to sleep still making small happy sounds, Alex smiled and looked out at the stars. Tomorrow would bring new challenges and new opportunities. But whatever came next, he and Pip would face it together, just like they always had. After all, they were family.